All right, so get ready, because today we're going deep on some pretty thought-provoking stuff. We're going to be exploring the teachings of Grand Master WaXhira. He's a prominent figure in the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood. You might be thinking, what exactly is the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood?
Well, they're a mystical tradition, and they go back centuries, focused on really understanding consciousness and the nature of reality.
So like explorers of the inner world then,
Yeah.
seeking kind of that deep wisdom about, our place in this whole universe thing. Now, WaXhira, he had some wild ideas about how our thoughts can actually like shape our reality.
Yeah, and to explain all this, he uses this really powerful metaphor, light, objects, and shadows.
Okay, intrigued. Tell me more about that.
So imagine a bright light illuminating a room, and then you put like an object right in the path of the light. It casts a shadow, right?
Yeah, of course.
Well, Waxier, he says that divine consciousness, what some people might call God, it's like that light, it's constantly shining on everything.
Oh, so like it's everywhere all the time.
Exactly. It's ever present, filling all of existence. But here's the thing, we don't always see it directly. Just like we don't see the light itself, we only see what it does.
I mean, that's a pretty interesting concept. So where do our thoughts fit into this whole light and shadow thing?
Well, according to Waxhira, our thoughts, they're like those objects in the room. They interact with the light of that divine consciousness. And that interaction, well, that's what actually creates our individual realities.
Hold on. So you're saying my thoughts are actually like shaping the world around me?
Yeah, it's a pretty bold statement, right?
It is, yeah.
Waxhira teaches that our thoughts, emotions, and actions, they all cast these shadows or create these illuminated areas within that field of divine consciousness.
Okay, I think I see where this is going. So let's say I'm having a really negative thought.
Hmm.
Is that like putting this big, dark object in front of the light, creating a shadow in my reality?
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Waxhira would say that those negative thoughts, they're kind of blocking the full potential of that divine light from shining through, you know? They create experiences that feel heavy, blocked, or difficult.
So then, on the other hand, when I'm feeling all positive and optimistic, is that like I'm using like a clear, transparent object,
Yeah.
and it allows the light to just shine right through, creating a brighter, more joyful experience.
Precisely. The source material describes it as aligning our thoughts with the flow of divine consciousness. So we're allowing that universal energy to manifest like more fully in our lives.
That's starting to make sense,
Mm-hmm.
but I got to admit, it's raising some questions for me. For example, of those difficult experiences, they're just shadows created by our thoughts. Does that mean there's no such thing as like genuine suffering then? I mean, it seems a bit simplistic to say we can just think our way out of like any bad situation.
Yeah. It's a really important point. And Waxhira, he doesn't shy away from the complexity of being human. He acknowledges that life can be challenging and pain is part of that. But what he really emphasizes is that even within those tough experiences, that divine light, that consciousness, it's still there.
So even when things feel dark and hopeless, that potential for light, for change, is always there.
Exactly. Just like the sun behind the clouds, even when you can't see it, you know it's still there, just waiting for the clouds to part.
Okay, that is actually pretty reassuring.
Mm-hmm.
It means that even in those really tough moments, we're not totally powerless. But how do we access that light? How do we start shifting our thoughts to create like a more positive reality?
Well, this is where things get interesting. Watsira suggests that the key is to develop a deeper awareness of our own minds. He talks about he talks about the importance of like self-knowledge,
Yeah.
of really understanding the patterns and beliefs that drive our thoughts.
So it's not just about like thinking positive thoughts. It's about understanding where our thoughts come from in the first place.
Exactly. He calls it illuminating the shadows of the mind. It's about recognizing those negative thought patterns and understanding why we keep creating those shadows in our lives.
I see. So it's like if you keep bumping into the same piece of furniture in a dark room,
Mm-hmm.
eventually you'd want to figure out why it's even there
Yeah.
and maybe move it. So how do we actually illuminate those shadows? What does WaXhira suggest?
He emphasizes the power of mindfulness and meditation. These practices, he says, allow us to step back from our thoughts and observe them without judgment, kind of like watching clouds drift by.
Oh, that's a great analogy. So it's like creating some space between ourselves and those thoughts
Mhm.
so we're not so caught up in them.
Mm.
But I got to be honest, the idea of meditation can be a bit intimidating. It seems like something only monks on mountaintops can do. Is it really possible for like everyday people to achieve that level of awareness?
Oh, that's a common misconception. Waxhira believed that anyone can cultivate this awareness. With practice and dedication, of course. He compares it to training a muscle. At first, it might feel awkward and unfamiliar, But the more we meditate, the stronger our mindfulness muscle becomes.
I like that. It's like building a mental gym for our thoughts.
Yeah.
But let's get practical for a moment. What are some tangible benefits of developing this kind of awareness? Does it really have a measurable impact on our lives?
Absolutely. The source material, it's full of examples of how people have used these principles to overcome challenges, improve their relationships, and even manifest their dreams. WaXhira believed that as we become more conscious of our thoughts, we gain a greater sense of control over our experiences. We're no longer just reacting to life, we're actively shaping it.
So it's not just some airy-fairy feel-good concept. There's a real practical power in understanding how our thoughts create our reality.
Hmm.
But that raises another question for me. If we're all interconnected through this divine consciousness like WaXhira suggests, does that mean our thoughts can influence other people's reality too?
It's a fascinating question, and one that WaXhira explores pretty in depth. He believed that our thoughts do have an energetic impact on the world around us.
So it's like we're all contributing to this collective tapestry of reality with like the colors of our thoughts. And depending on the colors we choose, we can either add to the beauty or, create disharmony.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it. And it highlights the responsibility we have to become more aware of the thoughts we're putting out into the world.
I'm starting to realize that this is a lot more than just positive thinking. It's about a deep understanding of our own minds and how they interact with the universe around us.
Huh.
But if our thoughts are that powerful, what happens when we have negative thoughts about ourselves? Can we actually manifest negative experiences just by thinking them?
That's where WaXhira emphasizes the importance of self-love and compassion. He teaches that we need to be mindful, not only of the thoughts that we project outward, but also the thoughts we direct inward towards ourselves.
So those negative self-beliefs, they can actually create shadows within our own reality.
Exactly. It's like constantly shining a dim light on yourself, preventing your full potential from being seen.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But how do we actually cultivate that self-love and compassion? It's easy to say, love yourself, but it's a lot harder to actually do, especially when we've spent years believing negative things about ourselves. What practical advice does WaXhira offer?
He encourages us to start by recognizing and challenging those negative self-beliefs. He says to ask ourselves, where did this belief come from? Is it really true?
Right, so it's like taking those shadowy beliefs out of the darkness and exposing them to the light of awareness. And maybe in that light, we realize they're not as powerful as we thought they were. But even if we can shift those negative beliefs, isn't it inevitable that we're going to have negative thoughts sometimes? Life throws us curveballs. We get stressed out. We make mistakes. Because WaXhira really expects us to never have a negative thought again.
Not at all. He acknowledges that negative thoughts are a part of being human. The key, he says, is to not get attached to those thoughts, to see them as passing clouds in the sky of our minds.
So it's not about suppressing negative thoughts. It's about learning to observe them without judgment and letting them go.
Exactly. He teaches that the more we practice this, the less power those negative thoughts have over us. We become like the sky itself, vast and spacious, allowing thoughts to come and go without disturbing our inner peace.
Wow, that's a powerful image. It's like we're creating a sanctuary within our own minds, a place of peace and clarity, even amidst the storms of life.
And from that place of inner peace, WaXhira says, we can start to consciously create the reality we desire. We can choose thoughts that align with our highest potential, thoughts that bring us joy, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose.
So it's not just about eliminating negative thoughts. It's about choosing positive, empowering thoughts that help us create the life we want.
Exactly. And this is where WaXhira introduces another key concept. He introduces the idea of intentional creation.
Intentional creation. Tell me more about that. What does he mean?
WaXhira suggests that we're not just passive recipients of reality, but active participants in its creation. He teaches that by setting clear intentions. We can actually direct the power of our thoughts towards manifesting our desires.
So it's kind of like we're planting seeds with our thoughts. And those seeds can grow into real experiences in our lives.
That's a great analogy. But WaXhira, he cautions that it's not just a matter of wishing for something and then expecting it to just magically appear.
Okay, so there's more to it than just daydreaming about winning the lottery. So what else is involved?
Well, he emphasizes the importance of aligning our thoughts, emotions, and actions with our intentions. It's like focusing a beam of light. When our thoughts, feelings, and actions are all pointed in the same direction, well, they create a really powerful force for manifestation.
I see. So it's like if I want to build a house, it's not enough to just think about it. I also need to have the emotions of excitement and determination, and then I need to actually take action. like hiring a contractor and buying
Yeah.
material.
Exactly. Intentional creation, it involves a harmonious blend of thought, feeling, and action. But WaXhira also acknowledges that sometimes, even with the best intentions, we might encounter obstacles or setbacks.
So what happens when our intentions meet resistance? Does that mean we're doing something wrong?
Not necessarily. He says the universe sometimes has a different timeline than we do. Our intentions might be on track, but there might be lessons we need to learn or experiences we need to have before those intentions can fully manifest.
Oh, so it's like the universe is saying, okay, I hear your intention, but hold on a minute. There's something else you need to learn first.
That's a great way to put it. And those delays or detours, they aren't necessarily bad things. They often provide valuable opportunities for growth and learning.
So even those seemingly negative experiences can actually serve our highest good in the long run.
Exactly. WaXhira emphasizes that everything happens for a reason, even the things we might initially perceive as setbacks.
Okay, that's a really empowering perspective. It means that even when things don't go according to plan, we can trust that there's a greater wisdom at play. But how do we know if our intentions are truly aligned with our highest good? What if we're accidentally manifesting something that's not actually good for us?
That's where intuition comes in. WaXhira stresses the importance of listening to that inner voice. You know, that gut feeling that tells us whether we're on the right track.
Oh, so it's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's also about tuning in to our inner guidance system.
Exactly. He teaches that our intuition is a direct connection to that divine consciousness, that source of wisdom that knows what's truly best for us.
So if we learn to listen to our intuition, we can be more confident that our intentions are aligned with our soul's purpose.
That's the idea. And as we practice listening to that inner guidance, we become more adept at navigating the twists and turns of life, knowing that we're always being guided towards our highest potential.
Wow, this has been a truly fascinating deep dive. We covered a lot of ground, from the light and shadow metaphor to intentional creation and the importance of intuition. As we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share about WaXhira's teachings that might help listeners apply these principles in their own lives?
You know, WaXhira reminds us that this is a lifelong journey of self-discovery and growth. There will be times when we forget these principles, when we get caught up in negative thoughts, or when we feel lost and uncertain. But he encourages us to always remember that we have the power to choose our thoughts, to shift our perspective, and to create a reality that aligns with our deepest desires.
So it's not about achieving perfection, it's about progress. It's about continually striving to align our thoughts and actions with our highest potential.
Exactly. And as we embark on this journey, it's helpful to remember WaXhira's words. The light of consciousness is always within you, waiting to be awakened.
Well, there you have it, folks. A deep dive into the powerful teachings of Grand Master WaXhira. Hopefully this exploration has sparked some new insights and inspired you to tap into the power of your own thoughts.
And remember, the journey of self-discovery and intentional creation is an ongoing adventure. Embrace the challenges, celebrate the victories, and always remember that you have the power to create a reality filled with light, love, and abundance.
Until next time, fellow deep divers,
Yeah.
keep exploring, keep learning, and keep shining your light.